I'm Jan, and I've just gone to grab a scallop shell. There's a very special story around this, and I want to share that with you today. The scallop shell has so much meaning for me, so much so that I've included it in my logo. It is the symbol of the Camino, the many, many Camino walks that are around Europe. And it shows you which way you're meant to go. So if you need to go that way, it'll be pointing that way. If you need to go that way, it'll be pointing that way. And they paint them, they're often on footpaths in gold or bronze. And I wore this on my 8-kilo backpack, which I never became one with. It just got heavier and heavier as the days went on. But I digress. They paint it on the walls, on posts, on trees, and it shows you the way to go, which way you've got to go. So, and it's important that you actually look out for them, because if you don't, you won't know which way to go. And I must admit, see a few lost pilgrims along the way. So how did I get to do a Camino? Well, the story goes like this. My youngest baby girl, when she was turning 30, rang me and said, "Mum, I've decided to do something profound for my 30th birthday." I went, "That's fantastic, darling. What are you doing?" And she said, "Have you heard of the Camino Santiago?" And I said, "Yeah, I have, absolutely." So well done to you. I think that would be a wonderful, life-changing experience. And she said, "Yes, I think so too. And I think that you should do it with me." Because you see, you were 30 when you had me. That means that I'll be turning 30 and you'll be turning 60 while we're there doing the Camino. Of course, I had to think about that for a long time, and no second actually. And I said, absolutely. So we did the amazing Camino Santiago Francais, which was a 900-kilometre walk from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, across the Pyrenees mountains, over to Finisterre, after Santiago to Finisterre, and that is on the west coast of Galicia. So funny, did a lot of training, 6 months worth of training beforehand, not only the physical training but the emotional training, and it was just a superb thing to do. And I remember the first night, or the first morning, leaving Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and it looked like it was a bit overcast, but not an issue, not a problem. And we got to start the walk up to the Pyrenees, and we had one way. If we took the sign to that way, it was shorter and easier, and there was another way going up that way, which of course was harder and longer. Which one did we do? Of course, we did the harder and longer one. The slightly overcast weather became inclement weather. We had hail. We had winds so strong that they stripped plastic ponchos off people's backs. We got so cold that we couldn't even tie our shoelaces. So we got to Roncesvalles probably about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock that night. So we'd been walking since 5 o'clock in the morning through to 7, 8 o'clock at night, and totally drenched, saturated, bitterly cold. And in bed lying that night, I was writing in my diary. A few tears, I must admit, trickled down my face as I wrote in the diary, "What am I doing here?" Underline, underline. It was a challenge. There were many challenges along the way, but that challenge also taught me a lot about myself. I learned how to be present, truly present in the moment, how to be mindful. And the reason for this is your physicality, your safety, your security, absolutely dependent on you being mindful. You see, there's one thing doing training in a gym on the walker, or walking down a path that was paved along the footpath. It's quite another thing walking down a dirt track where there's potholes, slippery bits, and tree roots just growing all over the place, willy-nilly, everywhere. So I learnt to be very mindful physically. I learned my capacity for endurance, both physical, psychological, and also emotional. And I would say that the first 10 days were really tough, but after that, I felt like I could conquer the world. Felt so strong in my mind, in my heart, and in my body. Fantastic. You just don't know what you're capable of doing until you try. I learned the importance of connection. Connection to self and what's going on in heart, body, and mind. Connection to nature. The walks where we start at 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun was up, and the smells, the exquisite smells. There were a couple of mornings in Galicia before the sun came up where it was like walking through a big bowl of muesli. The exquisite fragrances and aromas just enveloped you. And also being connected with others, with other people. The pilgrims, the peregrinos as they called us in Spain, they became our family. As a collective, we didn't walk, we walked totally by ourselves. We weren't in a group or a guided group. We followed a map and walked by ourselves, but you'd meet people along the way and you'd walk with some for a day or two, walk with others for other times as they moved on. And those strangers became connected, soul connected very, very quickly. I suppose it's a shared experience. I don't know. Anyway, and I learned that I love the ocean. Certainly living in Byron Bay on the eastern coast of Australia, I get to see the water and play in the water daily. So not having seen the ocean for a month, when I did see it, I cried. I was so happy. Now, you might wonder, what has all this got to do with, I don't know, looking at self, changing beliefs? Well, I believe just as this shell showed Leah and me the way during the Camino, on our path on the Camino, our feelings are our scallop shells. They are showing us the way on our life journey. Now, we could choose what we're going to do with those feelings. We can ignore them, we can suppress them, or we could acknowledge them, because those feelings bubble up to a surface, often being triggered from something external, but it's never the external. We all know that. It's attending, they are saying something needs to be attended to. Have a look, acknowledge it, let's explore it further. Human emotions and human behaviour have always been of tremendous interest to me. So when I studied, when I came across Morrison, who was the founder of RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, it was just like coming home. Now, what RTT is a combination of the most effective principles of NLP, which I've got a master certification in as well, of hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, and also CBT, plus tools and strategies that Marissa, over her 30 years of experience with clients, has developed within her training as well. So it was a delight to train in RTT, and it's a delight to be able to help people uncover, via those feelings, uncover any sabotaging or negative beliefs that lie in the subconscious and free people up to be who they're truly meant to be and live their best lives possible.